Hello guys, welcome to Harry's Book Cafe. Today let's talk about Max Brooks' Devolution. Right, Max Brooks, as I believe most horror readers are familiar with the gentleman, is that he is the writer of World War Z as well as the Zombie Survival Guide, both of which I have read, and at the time I thought, okay, they are very interesting books, well written. Nothing extraordinary, they are just there and good read. Okay, so at the time I was thinking, okay, maybe it's not something I'm going to pick up a third book by this author, because the first two, although good, didn't really grab me that much. However, when the Devolution did come out a few years back, I thought, okay, so this is quite interesting, especially, you know, it promised to talk about Bigfoot as the main protagonist or the main villain of this horror book. And Bigfoot, as you know, in the current climate, wasn't really talked very much in horror genre. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. And I did give it a try only like last week. And you know, before I start reading this book, I did lots of research and I watched YouTube reviews. I went to Amazon to read readers' reviews, and overwhelmingly 5-star reviews. And they are absolutely like bright with praise. And especially when I look at the cover of the book, there's a Guardian quotation says "True Terrors," and myself, I'm quite a voracious reader of Guardian because it's free and good journalism. And I thought, okay, so this, if Guardian says this is true terror, then it must be very, very interesting. So I picked up the book and start reading it with a big smile on my face. However, as the pages start to turn, the smile first waned and disappeared completely on my face. And that's why this review, right? So I want to put out some problem with this book. Now, look, I know fiction writing, any sort of writing, is work of love. It takes a lot of time. Myself try to write, and I know it takes a lot of energy, take a lot of time, take a lot of love to actually get a book finished. Okay, so I hate to having a negative review. However, I think it is my duty, such an arrogant way of it is my opinion. Okay, so everything that I said represents my opinion about this book. So anyway, without further ado, let's dig into the synopsis. Now you can read in the back of the book, you can see the synopsis, and it promised to be absolutely amazing, right? So basically a bunch of people stranded in the middle of nowhere, and Bigfoot are attacking them. So it sounds very interesting, very simple and very direct, and it promised to be a fast-paced page turner. It turned out anything but. Right. I start reading it, and when I hit 50%, all right, 52%, I realized nothing has happened so far. There's no mention of Bigfoot, and there's no sense of urgency or creepiness or anything like that. It is until 55% the first Bigfoot start to make appearance, and then the pace start to pick up somewhat, but it still remain pretty flat, to be perfectly honest, until the end of the novel, which is a little bit disappointing. And now brings me to tell you about the second problem, which I think is also the largest, and that is the characters, the two-dimensional characters, and it's very disappointing. I find myself care not a jot about any of them. Okay, so some of the characters get killed off, and I couldn't care less. I just said, okay, he's dead or she's dead, let's move on, next one, what's going on, come on, like that. Because there's no emotional attachment from me as a reader to the protagonists at all. They were badly developed, and they were just completely two-dimensional. They are not acting as a real people should act. Okay, so let's give you a quick example. So this old lady, right, her husband is being killed by Bigfoot. In fact, he was being used as a bait for the rest of them to come and rescue him, using him as a bait, right? So they were torturing him, basically. So he's making a lot of noises, screaming in agony, shrinking in agony. Ask yourself, what would you do if in that situation, if you heard your loved one, your husband or your wife screaming in pain, asking for your help, what would you do? Personally, I will run towards my wife, right? And I don't care what's happening. I need to do my best to rescue her. I don't care if she's being used as a bait. I will run to my wife and rescue her. This character, however, she, the old lady, instead of running to her husband herself, she's beseeching or begging all her neighbors to go running and rescue him. I mean, what the hell, right? They refuse to do so, and she's blaming them. It's your bloody husband. Go and rescue your husband. Why are you calling them, please, 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 while you are standing and encouraging other people to do? I don't understand, right? That's problem number one. Number two, by the way, the book is in a sort of diary format from this main protagonist, and her name is Kate Holland. And so most of the book is from her diary. We suss out what's happening from her diary. And she repeatedly, in the diary, tells us that she's someone who hates confrontation. She's not a leader, she's being led. And yet somehow, everybody towards the end of the novel start to look at her for permissions to do something that they don't require permission to do. Somehow, without explaining, she became the leader of the whole group. I mean, it's boggling. It's really, I hate reading books that's not realistic. I know it might be a little bit over the top, but it pissed me off. It really does piss me off, because I thought, as a writer, you should put more thoughts into this. And I couldn't, for love or money, understand why a writer of Max Brooks' caliber can write something so unbelievably unrealistic. I mean, sure, the writer might, run away with it. What about the editor? The editor is not doing anything about it. And that's precisely the problem with some of the famous writers, right? So, because World War Z was so successful, and in the editor's mind, he can do no wrong. And the other thing is that books publishing is a business, okay? It requires, the fundamental goal is making profits. So it doesn't matter, I guess, in a way, how bad it is written. It as long as it makes money, it's a good book, right? In the eyes of the editors and publishers. The name is there. If you look at 50 Shades of Grey, I mean, that's the most terrible book ever. And yet it makes millions and millions and millions for the publisher. So I guess from the publishing's perspective, that is not so much a problem. But from serious readers as us, I find it offensive, to be perfectly honest. I think it's very, very lazy writing. Anyway, moving to the next problem, and that's the pace, right? So I have mentioned that it's really slow. And yet, there are at least 2 chapters, if not more, the writer is talking about how to make a spear. A spear, okay? Just like, it's so frustrating. You're tearing your hair out and you're thinking, okay, what's going on? Why do you need to tell me about how to make a bamboo spear? All you have to say, okay, is a couple of paragraphs, all right, to let the reader know that the people are making spears and trying to defend themselves. You don't need 2 chapters. Come on. This is just like so frustrating. That's some of the major glares fault of this book. I mean, there are numerous more. It will take a review much longer than what I intended to list every single fault. I mean, by all means, read it yourself and see if you're right. And this brings me to the point of confusion. Okay, as I mentioned before, that before I read the book, I actually went to YouTube videos about this book and read reviews on Amazon. And I mean, it baffles me, right? It really confuses me why there are so many 5-star reviews. I mean, I consider myself to be intelligent, well-read, and a good judgment. Have a good judgment for good writing. And I'm not by no means the outliers of book critics. I consider myself to be perfectly normal. And yet I am in the tiny minority of bad reviews of this book. So vast majority give a glowing, warm 5-star reviews, and I don't understand why. Why? Is it because you guys like World War Z so much that you allow the warm glow of that book to cloud your judgment of this one? Is it because like some people like Stephen King so much and they can't force themselves to write bad reviews for a certain book? I mean, I'm a massive Stephen King fan. I've read pretty much all of it, but there's a few books that are just terrible. But you know what I mean, right? I'm thinking that is the only explanation I can think of. These people love Max Brooks so much, they can't bring themselves to write anything but 5-star reviews for whatever he's wrote, right? Even the shopping list, they will give 5-star review. I might be wrong though, there might be other reasons. So if you know what those reasons are, or you know, you completely disagree with my judgment, with my review of these books, and please leave that in the comment section down below. I'm aware that this review starts to turn into rant, but you know, I just can't stand bad books. I'm a person who finds it difficult to actually give up a book, which I should really do more. There are so many good books out there, but I find it very difficult to actually give up in the middle of the book, because I felt I invested so much time and energy and emotion into the book. Hi everyone, sorry about the interruption. I've just finished filming the main video. I got home and then I realized I have left out a rather crucial part of the whole review. So let me tell you about this now. And that is lack of fear, right? So this book is supposed to be a horror novel. It completely failed in that regard. That's because there's not a single moment in the book where the characters are displaying fear, foreboding, or anxiety. None of that, right? This happened when they pretend or cheated themselves that the Bigfoot are friendly, okay, which is understandable, right? But there's lack of anxiety even though. When they were for certain that those primates are actually hostile, there's still no sense of foreboding, there's no anxiety, there's no fear, there's lack of fear. There's no, we as a reader cannot really see the thoughts because the writer didn't wrote them. And I don't know how he can possibly get away with it. There's no sense of terror. There's no sense of horror. And therefore I don't understand what the hell Guardian's talking about true terror. It is not terror, true or otherwise. There's just completely lack of fear, and yeah, ultimately failed as a horror novel. Anyway, guys, read it for yourself. See what you think. If you read it already, then let me know what your thoughts are. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Cheerio.